Eltz Castle. This is BlueBrixx set 103827. This construction block set consists of 6085 pieces, which are compatible to bricks by other building blocks companies like Lego, Mega, Fantasy, and so on. This set was released in November 2021 for about 240 euros. I did pay less because I think last year there was a BlueBrixx sale, and there you could get this set for 30% less, so I paid about 168 euros. I think so far this is my biggest BlueBrixx set, at least a single set. I have built several sets which also have add-ons, and the sets with add-ons might have more than those 6,000 pieces, but I think this is my biggest BlueBrixx set so far which doesn't have any add-ons. This set here was designed by former BlueBrixx designer Martin, who is an absolute fan favorite because of his amazing designs. I think his most famous sets are Blaustein Castle with all its add-ons and Löwenstein Castle, which has won one of those Bricklink designer programs. I already showed you Löwenstein Castle in one of my older videos, and I think I also showed you Martin's model of the Mont Saint-Michel. And just like the Mont Saint-Michel, this set here depicts a real location. So this is not a fantasy castle, it's a real castle. BlueBrixx has released several of these huge sets here which depict real castles. I think there's a set for Neuschwanstein Castle, a set for Wartburg Castle, and a set for Hohenzollern Castle. And today we are going to build one of my favorite castles, Eltz Castle. This set here is quite notorious for having quite difficult building techniques. So let's hope that I'm not getting frustrated, or that I will not be left in despair. Well, Eltz Castle is very famous, but if you don't know it, it's a 12th century castle in the Eifel Mountains in Germany, and it is preserved quite perfectly, and I think it never got really destroyed. There had been some fires, but all in all it's very well preserved. Okay, let's have a look at the back side of this box, where we see the completed build from different views. This box is huge and heavy, so I had to make a cut in the video because I needed two hands to turn the box. It's impossible to turn it with just one hand and hold the camera with the other hand properly. Okay, here on the back side we get to see once again the completed build, and the whole thing from different perspectives. From above, from the side, from the back side, and we also get to see some details. As you can see, the completed build is going to have a lot of details, but most of the studs of the bricks are covered with tiles or other bricks and so on. But here are some wedges which are uncovered. And I'm quite sure that BlueBrixx hired Xingbao to produce the set, and Xingbao bricks often come with these ugly injection holes on the studs. They don't have tiny injection points, tiny marks. They are really crater-like holes. And yeah, one of those studs of each of those wedges might look ugly because of that, but we will see. Those injection holes are invisible on this image here because I'm quite sure that this is just a computer-rendered image, it's not a real photo. Well, but we will see later. For now, let's start to unbox this whole thing. So first of all, I'm going to remove this sleeve here. Below the sleeve we find this box here, which we can just open like this. And inside this box we find 3 smaller boxes with the letters A, B and C written on them. But, well, I think it's just like always with those BlueBrixx Pro sets. The bags with the bricks are not sorted to those smaller boxes here. I mean, we won't find every bags of the first building section in box A and so on. They are spread all over those 3 boxes here, so I'm going to empty all the 3 boxes now at once. Oh, a little surprise. Below those 3 smaller boxes we find these 2 32 by 32 plates. Wow, this is crazy. Have a look at all those pieces. It's incredible. I guess I'm going to spend a lot of time to assemble all those bricks. Well, then let's have a look at what we got here. So, first of all, here we got this huge instructions booklet. It's heavy. How many pages are those? Only 296. Huh. Well, it's a BlueBrixx Pro set, so this means unlike the BlueBrixx Special sets, this set comes with building section. And as you can see here, we got 9 different building sections. And yeah, the pieces are pre-sorted to those building sections. So each bag comes with a number on it. For example, this bag here comes with the number. Where is it? Those numbers are not very visible. There must be a number somewhere on here. Oh, here at the side. So, this bag is part of the of the 3rd building section. And yeah, and so on. All of those bags have the numbers on them. Of course, each building section consists of several bags. And for the first building section, I'm going to open, of course, all the bags with the number 1 on them. What else? Well, I think in box number C or number A, I can't really remember, there was this little piece of paper here. It was not in the same box in which the instructions were. And yeah, you can see here that it seems that there are some errors in the instructions, and because of that we got here a piece of paper with a correction. It's like an errata for our building instructions. And I showed you before that these huge plates here came loose, but there are also smaller plates which came in one of the boxes. It is a BlueBrixx Pro set, so we got printed building instructions, but Normally, the BlueBrixx Pro sets only got printed building instructions and no digital building instructions. Only the special sets come with digital instructions, but those don't have printed instructions. But in this case here, BlueBrixx also released digital instructions. When I remember correctly, those instructions were not released, or those digital instructions were not released at the same time when the set was released. Those digital instructions were released a while later, I think, but I think this is really cool that we got instructions here in this digital form, because the printed instructions are quite huge and this takes away a lot of space on the table. So I think I'm going to use the digital instructions. And maybe the corrections are already applied to those digital instructions. We will see. Well, what I'm going to do now is to open all the bags with the number 1 on them, empty them on the table. I will take away all the other bags and then I'm going to start with step 1-1. Step 1-3. Alright, I think now we know how big our build is going to be. It's 64 studs by 40 studs. And as you can see, the black plates we used here come in different shades of black. So I'm quite sure that they are supposed to be in the same black color. Well, black isn't a color, but you know what I mean. But you can clearly see that the black of these smaller plates is more intense than the black of the 32 by 32 plates. Luckily, this doesn't matter much, at least as long as we don't want to reuse the pieces for something else, because in this build here, all these plates here get covered. I think we even start in the next step with covering them, yeah. Step 1-4. So, we have placed a lot of tiles in the step, and I'm really not a fan of placing these huge tiles on plates, because those things always make everything quite wobbly. You can see here now that our base plate is wobbly. We got this problem at all 4 corners now, even at the sides where we didn't use those huge tiles. But you can see that we got enough studs over here, which means that we are going to build our castle on those studs, and with enough weight, the plate won't be wobbly any longer. So this side, or this corner should be okay, but this one here not so much. And you can see here we got tiles, which means they won't be covered with other bricks. And I'm not sure if we can remove the wobbliness at the end. Well, let's see once the build is complete if this corner over here still is wobbly. Step 1-8. In this step we have to use a 1x2 plate, and I'm not quite sure which kind of green this is. It looks a bit differently on camera, but without the camera this green looks quite light. So I was thinking maybe it's not one of these green pieces here in that color, but you can see here maybe it is not supposed to be this 1x2 plate, but a plate in this color here, in this light green. But I couldn't find any of those light green 1x2 plates, only these rounded ones here. So I thought to myself, well, let's have a quick look in the inventory list and see there if these 1x2 plates in light green even exist in the set. So I went all the way to the back of the building instructions to have a look in the inventory list, and then I was going through the pieces. So here we got the black pieces. Then we got dark bluish gray pieces. Those here are pieces in dark tan. Once again, dark bluish gray and white pieces and light bluish gray pieces. Another dark bluish gray piece. I think this here is normal tan. And then here we got all the green pieces. Dark green, I guess it's green. And yeah, it seems that the color is the same as in the front of the instructions in our step. But, nevertheless, I was having a look what kind of pieces in light green we have, but I couldn't find any. Here are red pieces, then we got these, what is this, dark nougat, dark orange, I don't know, tan. Once again, this nougat, orange, whatever, tan, dark tan, and then the instructions end. That's so strange. The pieces in light green can't be found in the inventory list. And also, I can't find any pieces in olive green. That's strange. Maybe we don't need these light green and orange green and olive green pieces at all. But I doubt it, because there are a lot of them. Well, we will see. But for now, I'm going to use this 1x2 plate in green. Oh, and these dark green pieces here can't be found in the inventory list either. That's so strange. I also checked the printed instructions, and there these three colors here are missing too. There are no dark green, no light green, and no olive green bricks in the inventory list. The list just is incomplete. 1-10. I like the snot technique used in the step here, studs not on top. So we got this 1x16 Technic brick, and then we got two of these pins here. I already have connected one of the pins with the Technic brick, and now I'm inserting the second pin in the hole of the Technic brick, which is placed next to the first pin. And as you can see now, we got two studs here to which we can interlock this brick modified here, like this. That's cool. Step 1-11. I think in this step we are using a piece which the Lego company doesn't use at all. So you can see here we got a normal 1x2 round plate, nothing special about it. But then we got this piece here. It's a 1x2 round plate, but with studs on both sides. A normal round plate doesn't have studs on the underside. There are negative studs. But this piece here comes with studs on both sides, so we can invert the building direction. Cool. Step 1-22. Here we are using pieces in dark green and also in olive green. This means the parts list of the set definitely is wrong. Step 1-44. It's amazing what kind of methods there are to place our bricks on different layers. So you can see we got this 1x4 brick modified, which we turn upside down, and then we got these two 1x2 bricks with holes in them on the sides. And now we connect those holes with the sideways studs of this brick modified, just like this. And now you can see that the brick modified ends at a slight higher position than the 1x2 bricks. Of course, it's the same position when you have a look at the the top part of the 1x4 brick and the stats, but when we compare the area below the stats, the 1x4 brick is placed slightly higher. And now we can place it on our build like this. Step 1-49. After 41 pages, we have completed the first building section. This did take way more time than I expected. We didn't use any difficult building techniques, but it just took a lot of time to place all the pieces on such a huge area. Oh, well, I guess for the remaining 8 building sections, I will spend a lot of hours. Well, let's go on with building section number 2. Step 2-6. In this step we need 2 of these plant things here, but I couldn't find any of them in one of the bags which belongs to this building section. Luckily, there are some left over from the previous building section. Step 2-8. In this step we are using another of those missing plant pieces. Normally this shouldn't be too much of a problem because I think we use quite a lot of these pieces in future building sections, and almost always there are a lot of those pieces here left over. But it's still annoying, and I don't already want to open a bag of one of the next building sections, and this is why I used one of the pieces from my collection. Step 2-9. And once again, we are missing these 2 plant pieces. Steps 2-11 and 2-12. And once again, we need more of those plant pieces. Step 2-15. Once again, we are missing the plant pieces, and I'm really annoyed now. I don't have enough of those plant pieces in my collection, which means now I'm going to have to open one of the bags of the future building section. I don't know which one yet, but I think there is no way around it. But maybe there won't be enough of those pieces in the end, because I noticed that we are going to use quite a lot of these pieces in this building section. So in step 2-15 we need some of them, in step 2-20 we need them, in step 2-21 we need them, then in step 2-24 we need them, and in a lot of steps there are needed some of those pieces. Not only the green ones, but also the dark green ones, so you can see the olive green ones, so you can see in step 2-85 we need them too. And then luckily this building section is over, and hopefully there are enough of those pieces in the next building sections. But this means I will have to open now one of the bags of the future building sections while I'm waiting for replacement pieces. I noticed that a whole bag of those pieces is missing. So I went through all the bags or the empty bags now of the second building section, and you can see that it starts with the number 16, and the bag with the highest number is number 31. And all numbers are there. The only number which is missing is the number 17, so the second bag of this building section. And I will tell BlueBrixx that this bag is missing, but of course it will take weeks until the replacement parts arrive here. Maybe I will simply order new pieces, and they might arrive way quicker. Step 2-52. We just have completed our first bigger section apart from the main build. And yeah, as you can see, it's more or less built completely in SNUT technique. And now it's time to connect it with our main build. It's not so easy to hit the hole with this little pin here. I don't think that I did succeed. I'm not quite sure where the problem is, why it doesn't work. Maybe it's easier when I have a look from this side here. Alright, is it really supposed to be in that angle? Well, I guess so. This castle has a lot of strange angles, so yeah, this might be okay. Step 2-85. We have completed the second building section, and as you can see, we have added more of those SNUT segments to our build. Because of the missing flower pieces, I had to open 2 bags of other building sections. So I used this bag here from the third building section, and as you can see, I really used all of these flower plant pieces which were in this bag, and there were not enough of them in this bag, so I also had to open this bag here of the 9th building section. I'm going to halt the build now until the replacement pieces arrive, because I really don't want to go on with opening bags of other building sections, and it gets a bit confusing when you are looking for a piece which used to be in that building section, but it isn't any longer because you took it out before, and I just want to avoid this whole scenario, and that's why I'm going to wait now until BlueBrixx sends me the missing pieces. 9 weeks have gone by, but I finally received the missing pieces. I can tell you, having contact with the BlueBrixx customer service is no fun at all. Those guys are so bad in, communication, and they are simply too slow. I contacted them, I wrote them exactly which bag of pieces is missing. I wasn't missing just a few pieces, I was missing a whole bag of pieces. I told them the number of the bag, and guess what? I didn't hear back from them at all. Maybe after 3 weeks, I can't remember, I contacted them again. This time I contacted another branch of the customer service. A section which normally isn't responsible for missing pieces, or which doesn't have to do anything with missing pieces. My hope was that they will redirect my complaint to the right section, and that via this redirection they simply will respond. And guess what? They did respond. They told me that they have redirected my complaint. Well, but luckily after a few days I received a new message, this time from the right section of the customer service, and they told me, please send us some photos or screenshots of the instructions where the missing pieces are shown. Oh man, I told them exactly which bag is missing, but okay, I took some screenshots, and I wrote them the exact number of pieces which were missing. You can see it's just 2 different pieces. 17 times that one, 24 times that one. And I hope that maybe they would say something, they would respond somehow, but they didn't. I didn't hear from them for another month. Or, I don't know, maybe for 5 weeks, 6 weeks, I can't remember. It just took so much time that I really got angry and thought, come on, I'm just going to order those pieces myself in China. Well, I did so, I ordered the pieces, and more or less at the time when they arrived from China, BlueBrixx did send me replacement pieces. God damn it. But okay, now I got those pieces 2 times, maybe more of those pieces were missing in the build, we will see. I'm happy that they did send me the replacement pieces, or the missing pieces, but I don't know why they are so bad in communication. It would have been better if they at least did say something. I can live with the long time they need to get the missing pieces, but at least they should say something. It took 9 weeks until those pieces arrived, and maybe, I don't know, 2 weeks before the pieces arrived, they told me that, yeah, they contacted the producer in China and that they will send me the pieces. They could have said that a month earlier. God damn it. But okay, let's go on now with building section number 3. As you can see, in the meantime, I have changed rooms, so we will continue the build on another table. Step 3-32. In this step, we are using a building technique which the Lego company, for example, doesn't use. We are using pieces which are not available by the Lego company. So you can see that we got here these single studs, these only studs. And we need them to turn anti-studs into normal studs. This is a building technique which can be seen in a lot of BlueBrixx sets, and I showed you this technique quite often in my videos, but I'm going to show you again how this works. So we got our brick here, and we want to turn the anti-studs into positive studs. So we simply want to reverse the building direction. And yeah, we got here these single studs, and we simply have to place them at the position of the anti-studs. Normally these sets contain long bars which we use to place the pieces at the brick, but in this case, for some reason, we are using a smaller bar than we do usually. Maybe it's just because the set is quite old and back then they didn't use the other bars. I don't know. It's shown here that we have to use a white bar, but I didn't want to look too long for the bar. And yeah, the brown bar was the first bar that I found, so I think it's okay to use that one instead. Alright, so we stick the bar into this hollow stud, and then we place the stud at the right position. Now we use one of our fingernails to press down the stud and at the same time re-release the bar which we have used as a tool. We do this also with the second stud. Just like this. And now we got a brick which got studs on the top and on the bottom. Step 3-95. We have these two segments here which we want to combine in the step, but have a look here at this gap. I am not quite sure why this gap is there. One reason could be that we are using an illegal building technique, but the other reason could be that the parts simply are not of the best quality, that they do not have great tolerances. We can push the pieces together and then the gap disappears, but this also means that this 1x1 brick with hole in it doesn't sit properly on the plates below. Now it is placed in a slight angle. Let me show you what kind of building techniques are used here. So we get this segment here. You can see that here sits a 1x1 brick with hole in it, and here's also a 1x1 brick with hole in it. And then we get here our second little segment. This consists of a 1x1 brick modified, to which we have attached another 1x1 brick with hole in it. And now we interlock this stud here with that hole, and yeah, we interlock this stud here with that anti-stud. Oh no, I'm talking rubbish. We're interlocking this stud here with that hole. So, like this. The problem now is if we interlock everything too well, then we also bend the brick below or move it slightly in its position, and this shouldn't be. You can see here that this green plate here has different length from the plates placed below, and yeah, that's simply because we also have used a 1x1 plate modified here, and because of that we got also a gap on the other side. But all in all, it should be the same, but it seems that the gap here on the left is a bit smaller, or is a bit wider than the gap to the right. And I think that's the problem why the green pieces and the right tip of our brick plate modified do not align perfectly. I'm not sure if this part here of the plate modified is too wide, or yeah, simply those bricks here are too wide when added up. That's strange. But it also simply might be that this is an illegal building technique, that adding these 5 pieces here doesn't give us the same length as this plate here, this 1x4 plate. Step 3-100. In this step we are building a little tower, and to do so we are using a quite interesting building technique. These are the pieces which we use for the tower, and you can see that the core of the construction consists of a bar. I'm not going to follow the building's instructions shown here, or better said, I didn't follow them. When you have a look here, you can see that first of all we have to attach the bar to a Technic pin, and then we add this hollow piece here, and after that we add a second pin and the next hollow piece. But I think it's way easier to build the whole thing when first attaching the 2 pins to this hollow piece here and then slide through the bar. So we got this little construction here, and then we slide through the bar that it looks like this. And now we can attach the other hollow piece. I think it's not so easy to do with just one hand. Let me place the camera. Alright, now it should be easier. So now we attach the second hollow piece like this. Yeah, those I'm not really sure how those pieces are called. I call them hollow pieces, but they are some kind of pipes. I don't know. And now we can add the cone like this. And yeah, the cone is only held in place by the bar, because you can see here inside the cone there the piece gets a bit narrower, and because of that yeah, it is possible to interlock it with the bar. Alright, here we got our little tower, and now we can attach it to this bigger segment, just like this. Step 3-115. We finally have completed this huge segment here, and now we can marry it with the rest of our build. It took quite a while to build this thing here. I think the segment consisted of about 80 to 90 steps. Step 3-116. We have completed the third building section, and this is what our build looks like so far. And yeah, we are starting to see that we are building a castle. And I'm quite sure that our completed build will have a lot of details. Have a look at this little segment here. Already here we can see some details, and it's really cool. But this building section took quite a lot of time, because yeah, we were placing a lot of small pieces in snot technique, and yeah, this is just something which is very time consuming. But I hope in the end the spent time will be worth the result. Alright, let's go on with building section number 4. Step 4-29, substep 5. It took me a moment to realize that we have nothing to do at all in this 5th substep, because yeah, it just shows how this little segment looks like after we have added all the 4 pieces in the 4th substep. And yeah, this is how it looks like in step 5. I was looking for a while for these pieces here, for a 1x2 piece and a 2x2 piece, these 2 plates. But when we have a closer look, we can see that nothing is grayed out, that all the pieces are in full color. And yeah, also I do not have any of those plates left, at least not when I only use pieces which are shown up here. Yeah, you really have to pay attention sometimes. I don't know why they had to include the substep. I just would have left it out and continued with this one. But okay. Step 4-52. I start to see why the set is said to be so difficult to build. So in the step we have added this bigger segment here to the rest of our build. You can see that it's the front part of the castle next to the bridge, and it was really not that easy to marry it with the bigger part of our build. It was done with the help of 1x1 bricks with hole in them, which we connected with some bars. You know, these plates to which bars are attached, those pieces which you use when you want to build a fan, for example. And it was problematic because this part here was rather big. Also, this little way here is all part of the segment. And here the wall parts and tower and so on. And I had to move the parts which I have placed before a bit to the left, and somehow I was able to squeeze it in there, and I had to push a lot. But I also have to say that I didn't do it as shown in the instructions. I didn't place it as one big single part. I tried to detach everything which is possible to detach, and then I added or connected the core of the segment with our main build, and then I reattached the smaller pieces which I had detached previously, and I think that's the easiest way to do it, because otherwise you really have to pay attention that not the whole build explodes in your hand, and then you have to build the whole segment again. By the way, I can show you how the pieces look like to which the segments with the houses are attached to. I was talking about these things here. You see 2x2 plates with these bars or these Technic pins attached to them. And we also got these Technic bars here, or these axles also here. And there are several methods to connect our segments to the build, and each time I get surprised by something else. Here you can see more of those. I think those are pins. It's a build with a lot of crazy building techniques. It's actually quite fun to build it. Step 4-91. One of those dark bluish gray 1x2 round plates is missing. We only got one of them left, but we need two in this step. And these are the plates which are still available for this building section. You can see we got a light bluish gray one, but not a second dark bluish gray one. Luckily, I found one in my collection, so I'm going to use that one. Step 4-93. We are missing yet another one of those 1x2 round plates. I have to use another one of those in my collection. Step 4-96. Two more of those 1x2 round plates in dark bluish gray are missing. This is so annoying, but this time I'm not messaging the customer service. I really had enough of that service. I can't stand them for a while. And luckily I got two more of those pieces in my collection. Recently I acquired a few thousand pieces which I need for a MOCS, and these pieces here were luckily part of that purchase. I think I bought about 10 of those pieces, and now I already had to use 4 of them for Eltz Castle. I saw that in this building section there are these 2 pieces here spare. So these 4 pieces here spare, and 4 of those here are missing. So I guess they somehow messed up. They gave us these pieces here instead of those. Step 4-98. We have completed the 5th building section, and if there weren't these 4 missing pieces, then this building section would have been very much fun to build, and it was way faster built than the previous building section. You can see that, we added another building to our build, and also more parts of the wall. Alright, let's go on with building section number 5. Step 5-63. We have created this segment here, and now we want to place it here. You can see here that we got a lot of negative steps, which we all have to interlock at once. And this is something which really is not easily done. I'm struggling here now for several minutes, and I really hope that I manage to place this somehow. Okay, I managed to place the segment, and in the end it wasn't that difficult to place it. I pushed down this part here first until it interlocked, and then I wobbled around here the part in the back and pushed it down, and suddenly it fell into place. Step 5-98. We have completed the 5th building section, and our castle grows and grows. In this building section we have added a lot of walls, and we start to see the outer limits of the whole castle. Alright, let's go on with building section number 6. Step 6-53. In this step we have to place, of course, several pieces, but one of the pieces we have to place is one of those 2 1x1 plates. And I think the only possible position to place it is here. You can see that I already have placed all the other pieces, only the 1x1 plate is missing, and I'm quite sure that I have to place it here, but it isn't really visible in the instructions. So I think it's quite obvious that next to this corner plate here, there is supposed to be a 1x4 plate. And at this side here, there are those 2 plate modifieds. Here is one of the 1x1 plates. And this also means that next to this 1x1 plate, there has to be a gap, and there we can place the other 1x1 plate. But only when looking at the pieces here in this little image, we can't really see that there sits a 1x1 plate. But I think once I have placed it here, it doesn't really matter as long as the whole construction looks identical to the image in the instructions. Step 6-100. We have completed building section number 6. The castle is growing slowly but steadily. Now it's time for building section number 7. Step 7-73. At the moment we are building this segment here, which later will become part of this bigger segment. And one of the pieces we have to place in this segment is this 1x1 round plate. When we have a look at the instructions, we can see that we have to place 4 of those round plates in the step. 3 of those round plates belong to this segment here, which is a little tower which becomes part of the segment, which later will become part of the bigger segment. And but then there still is one round plate left. And when we have a look at the instructions, we can see it over here. Let me zoom in a bit. And, well, it sits in a position which just is impossible. You can't place it like this. You can see that it interferes with this upside down round plate, and it only sits half on that stud here. This just isn't possible to place. I think that we have to place it on this stud here. It isn't shown so in the instructions, but I think this would be the way which makes the most sense, because you can see here we have done it also here that this round plate sits above the other round plates here. It's a row of windows, and I guess it's also the same here. So let me place the plate here. Maybe when we have a look at the next step, we will get an answer. So here is step 7-74. When we zoom in, sadly the quality is quite bad. It's just a very low resolution PDF file. But when we zoom in, we can see here that there is our missing round plate. Step 7-74. It seems that I start to lose my concentration. Maybe you noticed it. In the previous step, I had placed this little tower at the wrong position. I had placed it too low. Now I have corrected it and it sits at the right position. Step 7-134. We have completed building section number 7. And all we have done in this building section is that we have created this segment here. But you can see it's a rather big segment, and it consists of a lot of tiny pieces, so this was a lot of work. And I'm quite nervous for the next building section, because in that we are going to at least double the size of this segment here before we will marry it to the main build. I guess it's already difficult to marry this quite big segment to the main build, but when it's way bigger, this won't make things easier. I really hope that everything just works as planned. Well, we will see. Let's continue with building section number 8. Step 8-48. I'm not quite sure if we stumbled upon an illegal building technique here, or if the pieces simply don't have the best tolerances. So we have these two segments here and have to connect them like this. But now you can see that the smaller segment doesn't interlock properly. It seems that this plate modified here with this 1x1 round plate is in combination wider than a normal 1x1 plate. And because of this, it simply doesn't sit properly. I really don't know if it's the building technique in general that we used here, or if maybe simply the 1x1 round plate is of bad quality. Step 8-61. I just want to show you once again the part with the illegal building technique. Now we have connected the whole segment with the illegal building technique to a bigger segment, And here you can see that it still looks a bit illegal, or maybe it isn't illegal, maybe it's just the pieces. But it seems that it doesn't really matter for the rest of the build. At least it doesn't give us any problems concerning the construction. Step 8-68. We are connecting this bigger segment here with the huge segment that we have built in the previous building section. At the first try, several of these 1x2 slopes popped out. I guess I simply pushed too hard. These two segments are interlocked with ball joints. And, well, I deattached the segment again, placed all the slopes correctly once again, and then I very carefully reattached the segment, and now I think everything works fine. At least I can't see any problem with it. Alright, then let's go on. We are building another segment which will be interlocked here, I guess. Step 8-80. I have discovered a piece which I haven't used before. It's a 4x4 pointed wedge. The Lego company introduced this piece in 2016, and so far it appeared in 64 Lego sets. Step 8-129. We have added yet another segment to our biggest segment, and I would say so far this was the most difficult part of this build. It wasn't anything totally impossible to do, but it wasn't easy to do either. It definitely was a part which was not much fun. So you can see here is the last of those segments we have added so far, and it is attached to this bigger segment here via ball joints and also a bar clip combination. And here are a lot of little things attached to that segment which sit quite loosely. So we get this roof here, which isn't really that sturdy. It is just connected to the rest of the building by one single stud. And yeah, we also had to place it in a slightly angled way. So it's really not the strongest connection, but as long as you don't touch it, it won't fall off. And also down here, there are a lot of rather complex snot techniques, and yeah, we always have to pay attention not to rip something off when connecting bigger segments via ball joints. So you can also see that this whole segment doesn't really have a foot or something on which it is placed, and this is why I put this brick separator below the whole build to give it some stability, that I can stand it on the table without having to hold it all the time. Alright, then let's see what is next. Oh damn, there's still another segment which we have to attach to this huge segment. I really see a big problem at the horizon when we have to marry the big segment with our main build. Step 8-162. We have added a segment to our huge segment, and guess what? We are still not done with this giant segment. We are going to add another sub-segment to that big segment. Step 8-166. Here is a huge problem with the clutch power. So these 3 2x2 round plates are supposed to be connected to this little segment here with 1 stud each. So let me place the camera for a second because I need 2 hands to show you this. So this one is supposed to be placed like here. That one is supposed to be placed like this. And the final one should sit here. But have a look what happens when I take my fingers away. Yeah, there is no clutch power at all. At least not when only using 1 single stud. And this really sucks. Well, let's hope that at some point those pieces will be supported from below, because otherwise this will become quite problematic. Step 8-186. At least one of those loose 2x2 round plates could be properly connected to the segment now. You can see here that on top of the loose round plate we have placed several 1x1 plant pieces, and on top of those we have placed another 2x2 round plate which is connected to the segment with 1 single stud, but it has enough grip since also the anti-studs next to the anti-stud used for the connection to the segment are filled with studs, and so I guess there's simply more pressure or more tension inside this piece, and so it helps the clutch power. Now at least this round plate sits really sturdily attached to the segment. Let's hope that we will be able to attach these 2 plates too. Step 8-189. Luckily, finally, the other 2 loose 2x2 round plates also got support. Now they got enough clutch power, and yeah, everything is attached properly to this little segment here. Step 8-193. Alright, we have added the last sub-segment to our huge segment, and now it's time to add the whole huge segment to our main build. Oh, wish me luck. So, I'm still trying to marry those huge segments, and so far I think I have achieved that these 2 axles here entered these 2 holes. This wasn't a problem at all. But now I'm trying to position this 2x2 plate with attached pin at such a position that the pin pops into that hole. We can't really see the axle, I just feel that I have connected them, but we can have a look at the pin. The camera doesn't really like the light situation here. You can't really see it, I fear. Maybe can I zoom in a bit? So I can see it with bare eyes that down here there is the axle near the hole, but not completely positioned correctly. But it's not so easy with a camera. Oh, here you start to see the pin. Yeah, now you can see it. There's the pin and there's the hole. And somehow I have to wobble the pin, into the hole. Yay! I managed to combine those huge segments. And it took a few minutes, but actually it wasn't that difficult at all. But I have to say that I didn't follow strictly the instructions. I did it a bit differently. So, what I did was to detach this little segment here. You can see it's a 1x4 brick with 3 holes in it. And to that there are these rounded or these curved slopes attached. What I want to say is that I removed this little segment and attached it directly to that pin up here. And on the underside there are only a few studs which have to connect with the build. It's easier to connect those studs when they are attached to the whole big segment up here than to try to interlock a pin. And that made things way easier. First I tried it just like shown here, but it simply didn't work. But with attaching this little segment here to that pin, everything worked immediately. And there weren't any accidents at all. Only one single piece popped off, this little 1x1 slope, and I think it belongs down here. And now everything sits in the correct position perfectly. From now on, the build should be way easier. At least I have heard that this is the most complex step in the whole build. The other steps should be easier. Let's see. Step 8-197. Have a look here. They removed some pieces so that we can have a look inside the build, so we see where we have to place these 2 pieces. Normally here there are these 4 pieces in 10, and here they are missing. Step 8-197 is the final step of the 8th building section. So, this is what our build looks so far. In this huge building section we have completed, or better said, we have married the castle with the hill. And now I think there's still a bit to do. You can see here is a gap and here a little plaque is missing. But most of the work is done. So now it's time for the final building section. Building section number 9. So I have opened all the bags of the final building section, and I just noticed that one of the bags contains a brick separator. I think this is a rather strange decision to give us a brick separator in the final building section. It might happen that you do some errors throughout the whole building process, which you have to correct. So it would have made way more sense to give us the brick separator in the first building section. Very strange. Oh, and have a look at this huge amount of ironing beads. We have used these pieces in several building sections throughout the whole building process, but I don't think that there had been a single building section with that many only studs. And to be honest, it's never that much fun to place them, so I hope this won't have an impact on my mood. We will see. Step 9-76. In the meantime, we have added two more buildings. This one here and that one. Placing the tower on our main build was no problem at all, that was quite easy, but it was quite difficult to place this bigger building here. And the main problem is, I guess, because of the bad tolerances, the pieces' bad tolerances. When we have a look inside this gap here, you can see that a connector interferes with a stud. You see that the connector touches the stud, and when you are placing the building at this position here, the problem is that the stud is just in the way. The connector always sits on top of the stud, and because of that, it can't slide down. So you have to wobble around the whole build a lot and just hope that nothing breaks off. And hopefully at some point the connector just can avoid that stud, and then everything should look like this. It was not easy. I spent here about quarter an hour, I think, until I could place the building perfectly. But luckily, in the end, I was able to do it. Alright, now let's go on with this building's roof. Step 9-86. I think here is a little error in the instructions. It's quite irrelevant, but it is an error. So, we have got these two little segments, which we are going to connect with each other like this. And you can see the lowest piece of this little segment is this 1x2 plate. Remember that. Alright, we place it here like this. But now, when we have a look at the step itself, we can see that the whole segment, which we have to add to the other segment, has a red border around it, but for some reason the white plate is not included. Step 9-110. We are building several segments which we later will combine as a roof, and for one of the segments we also need sub-segments, which we are building right now. And the sub-segment consists of a 1x2 slope, a 1x1 plate, and a 1x1 round plate with a hole in it, which is connected to the plate below via one of those single studs. You can see that the round plate sits upside down. And on the other side we got a handlebar, which is needed to attach the whole micro segment to this bigger segment here. You can see that here is a clip. The problem now is when we interlock the clip with the handlebar, that the right side here is taller than the left side. And this of course looks quite stupid, and we can't leave it like that. I'm not sure if this is a problem because of the bad tolerances of the pieces, or it's a problem of the building technique used here. Well, and I don't have a good answer to solve this problem. We could simply not interlock the handlebar properly with the slope, but yeah, this isn't the best solution for the clutch power. Another solution would be to not properly interlock the handlebar with the clip so that it looks like this. This might be the best solution for the clutch power, but I fear this will break the clip after some time. I also have tried to adjust this side here by simply interlocking the round plate with the 1x1 clip, so without the hollow stat, but then we had the opposite problem that the left side is taller than the right side, and yeah, that's more or less the same problem. So what I'm going to do now is, I don't want to break my clip, is that I interlock the handlebar properly with the clip, but I'm not interlocking the handlebar properly with the slope. This might not be the best for the clutch power, but I don't see any solution either. Step 9-116. We have completed the roof, and we stumbled upon the problem with that building technique for the slopes several times. So 4 times in total, and well, what I did was that I tried to interlock everything properly, and now I just live with this strange angle. But I think it actually doesn't look as bad once we have done it with all the little roof parts, because that way it just looks like a really old house, like a medieval roof. So that's actually quite fine. I will leave it that way. And now what we have to do in the next step is to connect the roof with its house. Step 9-118. We are building a little plaque for our model, and we do this with this printed 1x6 brick. I think that's quite cool that we get a print. I'm always annoyed by stickers, and have a look at the print quality. It's just perfect. Really cool. So then let's do this. This goes here. This goes here. We complete it with a tile, and then we can place it there. The only thing left to do now is to build some trees, and after that we are done. Step 9-123. The build is complete. Then let's have a look at our magnificent 12th century castle. It is so well preserved because, well, it never got destroyed. I guess the Celtic and Roman fortifications, which were prior at the same spot, got destroyed at some point in history, but this castle here survived all the centuries. Even the French armies, the guys who destroyed pretty much all the castles in the region, spared Eltz Castle. And because of that, we can still have a look nowadays at this awesome building. By the way, this castle has a connection to another architecture set that I showed you a while ago. The Eltz family who owns this castle peaked in the 18th century when one of their sons became Prince Elector of Mainz and thus Arch-Chancellor of the Holy Roman Empire, the most powerful clergyman north of the Alps, and, at least on paper, the most powerful person in the empire. Only the emperor himself was above him. I talked about that in my video about the BlueBrixx version of the Mainz Cathedral, so when you are interested in that, yeah, just have a look at that video. But now, let's start our little castle tour. So, this is the most famous side of the castle. From here, all the tourists take a photo of the castle when they arrive. First, we cross the bridge, which crosses the Eltz River. The little river surrounds the castle from 3 sides, so this castle is almost on an island. Via the outer gate, we enter the outer bailey. Okay, when we have reached the outer bailey, we can go straight up here. We pass the goldsmith's house and also the craftsman's house. And then we enter via the inner castle gate. The inner courtyard. Let's see if I can get some light in there. Yeah, when we have reached the inner courtyard, we are surrounded by a lot of tall buildings. So, what buildings do we see here? Let's start maybe here. Okay. Think it starts here. Yeah, those are the Rodendorf houses, and next to those houses there are the Kempenich houses. And then here, at this end of the castle, we got the bailiff's garden next to the donjon, which is also called the Eltz. Then here we got, yeah, a little terrace, and next to the terrace there is this huge building here, the Rübenach house. And yeah, I think that's it. Did I forget something? Oh yeah, here on the outside is the chapel attached to the castle. Now, let's leave again the inner courtyard and let's go back to the outer bailey. And then here on this side of the castle, we get to see the coach house. And here's also a path which leads to the valley gate. When we follow the path even further, at some point we reach the valley. Oh, and here on this side we also get more fortifications to see. Here are the here's the outer ward. And I think that's it. That are all the buildings we get to see. I really like all the details shown here. It's so amazing. Have a look here. We even get to see all the tables. I think here and here there are cafes, and of course somewhere the tourists want to take a break and yeah, eat a little snack, and for that they got a lot of tables here. But there are so many other details. I love that we get to see these rocks here next to the chapel. When you walk along this path in real life, you really can see those rocks there. It's so amazing. All these tiny details. So cool. And also all these orioles we get to see everywhere. And what I think is what is especially amazing is that inside the courtyard there are even more details. And I mean, this is an area which is barely visible when you have a look at the build, but there are so many hidden details. So we got here this little vestibule. Let me zoom in, and we can even see the pillars below the vestibule, and also all these little balconies there. You see these black things? Those are balconies, very tiny balconies. You can more or less only put a flower pot on them, but I don't know how to call them otherwise. And yeah, even this building here with the strange roof is visible. The designer has done an amazing job. It's so cool. I absolutely love this build. Well, of course, we do not get to see the whole hill on which the castle sits. So we do not get to see the foot of the hill, and we also do not get to see the river, because, yeah, they cut through the hill. Otherwise, the area which we had to build would have been way bigger. And thus, we have this black area here, which, yeah, actually is only air, because we did a cut here. But thanks to that black area, we can also place a little plaque here, and yeah, it says Burg Eltz, which is German for Eltz Castle. I had very much fun assembling the set, and it just looks beautiful. It's incredible how designer Martin managed to recreate so many tiny details with just bricks. Maybe the houses here in the front are placed a bit too close to the inner castle. Maybe the width of the gap should be 1 or 2 fingers wider, or the width of 1 or 2 fingers, but that's really just complaining on a very high level. The build is near perfect. But of course one can dream. Imagine how cool the build would have looked like if we could also see the ruins of Eltz Castle towering on the cliff above Eltz Castle. Eltz was built by Balduin of Drea just 230 meters away, in our case here to the left, while he sieged Eltz Castle in the 14th century. But this, of course, would have made our build at least double as wide, I guess. And maybe also it would have doubled the money they want to have from you for the set. So there's really no reason to complain about the build itself. We get to see a lot of crazy building techniques, and the final result just looks amazing. In the BlueBrixx community, the step in which we have to marry the main part of the castle with the hill below is considered to be a very difficult step, But surprisingly, for me personally, that step wasn't that difficult. I recommend just to use the little trick that I showed you. I had way more problems with building, I think, this part here of the castle. But that wasn't an impossible task either. Nevertheless, I have to admit that connecting the huge part of the castle to the rest of the build is a very intense moment. You become quite nervous because here you definitely don't want to mess up. It is a critical moment. You don't want to push too hard or push at the wrong spot. That could lead to immense damage and, yeah, simply wipe out the result of several hours of work. Oh, by the way, this one by one slope here kept popping off every time I connected another building part to the castle. Maybe you should place this piece at the end. The bricks used in the set do the job alright, but they are clearly not of the best quality. They are not the best pieces on the market. Most pieces come with huge, ugly injection holes. Luckily, in the completed build, only very few of these crater-like holes are visible. I think we might be able to find more or less all of them, so here is one. There is one. Here are two other one. Here's one, another one. There's another one. I'm not sure. Might be okay, but the color is a bit off, so I guess this is another one too. And yeah, that's all on this side. Let's have a look over here. There's another one. Here's one. The rest of this side seems to be fine. Here are two. Here is one. If I haven't shown that before, I can't remember. Then here is one. Oh, have a look at those wedges on this side. Those are perfect. And yeah, it seems that's it. That's really just a tiny amount of visible ugly stats compared to the size of this huge build. Well, what else is there to say? The bricks tolerances, those are not the best, but everything works. Even though, thanks to the complex building techniques, this set almost reaches the limits of what is doable with these pieces. You shouldn't use the pieces for other projects when precision is even more important than it is with this Knot Festival here. A handful of pieces also come with bad clutch power. Especially these pieces here have a notorious bad clutch power. Where are they? Here. I'm talking about those pieces here. It's really no fun to place them. They simply keep falling off. But luckily, all the pieces with bad clutch power are supported by other pieces, so at least for this build, it doesn't really matter. But what matters very much is that your set should come with all necessary pieces. Mine didn't, and the whole process with the very unresponsive BlueBrixx customer service To get the replacement parts is just tedious and extremely annoying. In my case, it took 2 months until I could continue the building process. I think it was even longer than 2 months. It's really annoying. Concerning the the building instructions, we can decide ourselves if we use printed or digital instructions. The errors of the printed instructions are corrected in the digital instructions. I think I did only see 2 minor meaningless errors still left. But sadly, the inventory list is incomplete. I don't know how that could happen. And also, the resolution of the PDF file is a bit too low. To wrap things up, I can say that as long as the set contains all the needed pieces, I can absolutely recommend it to every experienced brick enthusiast. Maybe beginners should skip the set since placing this giant pile of bricks takes a long time and the many complex building techniques force the builder to concentrate the whole time. A handful of critical steps also might be too difficult for beginners, but experienced builders should be able to overcome these obstacles and reward themselves with an amazing model of Eltz Castle.